What's up, everybody? If you appreciate the format and you appreciate what we're doing here, then make sure you contribute to the Cash App, make sure you contribute to the PayPal, make sure you donate to the Super Chat. It's only you and your contributions that keep Hey, what's up, you guys? This is Dennis Sperling, and I'm back, and we are going to have another service here today. We are going to talk about something that is very near and dear to my heart, prayer, and how to create miracles in your own life. Prayer, hard work, and rest are the keys. And the reason I take these days, the reason I take this opportunity, because I know the vast majority of you brothers who watch my program, you don't go to church. You haven't been to church in a while. You probably, you probably just disgruntled by, your experiences with the American church, specifically the American Black church, whether it's the prosperity preaching or the misandry and the catering to the matriarchy, where it seems to uplift our lovely ladies, no matter how poorly they're behaving, and lambast Black men. And so you don't go to church. I get it. I understand. And so what I like to do is try to make things make sense for you as related to, what the scripture says, because there's power in the word. Even some of our great African scholars, Dr. John Henry Clark, said, don't throw away the Bible. It is truly the story of our people. And so the lessons in there and the wisdom in there is for us to help us continue to move forward in this world. No matter how far we get in science, I promise you, there's always room for faith and an understanding of the Most High God. So without further ado, the subject of the day that we're going to talk about is how to create miracles in your life, triggering miracles, the miracle in you. What triggers your success? My opinion, based on my religious beliefs and some things that you guys are going to find very interesting, i.e. the God gene, which is something I'm going to read about based on the article. All the references are here, so you can cuss me out, be angry with me, and call me, what do they call you? Some sort of a heathen or something like that, but it's all based in science. And as I've told you guys before, the higher you get in any field, the closer those fields come together. All right. Now, before we get started, I want to thank everybody for enjoying the music that I put up. You can get the music. The music is available pretty much anywhere. Just type in D.DAMONN. And what I will do for you guys right now is I'll go ahead and put those links up there so you guys can check it out. Let me see. I'll put it all in the description box right now, and I'll get that in there for you guys. So it's going to be below the reference section, music, and it's going to be D.DAMONN. It's all there for you guys. If you enjoy the music, feel free to check it out. Buy it. It's good stuff. Very laid back. It's music for grown men. Music for people who don't really like to rap the top right now, but it's still hip hop nonetheless. All right. So look, and of course, contribute to the Super Chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal if you appreciate what I'm doing. All the miracles that God has performed, or that we attribute to God, come through people. This is why abortions are such heinous crimes against God, because you destroy the person who is to bring forth to this world God's miracle before he or she can be born. Nevertheless, the question now is, how do you learn to bring forth the miracles in you? Stated otherwise, what triggers your success or your miraculous accomplishments? prayer, which is very similar to meditation, accompanied by hard work and then rest. All that you need to be successful is within you. Where is it? Let's go ahead and explain. Now, that's pretty much the opening. I need you guys to, if you can hear me, hit the #1 button. Let me know you can hear me. Hit the like button. Hit the thumbs up button. Continue to contribute. I appreciate you guys. But make sure you do that. Let me know you appreciate what I'm doing by hitting the #1 button. And here goes the part that's going to make some of you guys angry. The human genome contains 2 sections, the coding genome and the non-coding genome. The coding genome represents 1.7% of our DNA, but it is responsible for coding the proteins that are essential building blocks of life. Genes are defined by their ability to code proteins, so 1.7% of our genome consists of genes. The non-coding genome, which makes up the remaining 98.3% of our DNA, doesn't code proteins. This largely unknown section of the genome was once dismissed as junk DNA. Previously thought to be useless, it contained no protein creating genes, so it was assumed that non-coding genome had little to do with the stuff of life. Within this non-coding part of the genome, researchers have subsequently found short regions of DNA called enhancers, gene switches that turn genes on and off in different tissues at different times. This study inspired the exploration of the possible role of enhancers in behaviors such as alcohol intake, anxiety, fat intake. By comparing the genomes of mice, birds, humans, we identified an enhancer that has changed relatively little over 350 million years, suggesting its importance in species survival. When we use CRISPR, a genome editing process, to delete this enhancer from the mouse genome, those mice ate less fat, drank less alcohol, and displayed reduced anxiety. What this means is you have the power to control your response to the environment. Now let's look at this. Let's explain the power of prayer. In the beginning, God started creation. On the first day, light was created. On the second day, the sky was created. On the third day, dry land, seeds, plants, and trees were created. On the fourth day, the sun, moon, and stars were created. On the fifth day, creatures that live in the sea and creatures that fly were created. On the sixth day, animals that live on the land, and finally, human beings made in the image of God were created. By day 7, God finished his work on creation and rested, making the 7th day a special and holy day. Now, it is important to note that God spoke creation into existence. What did he do? He spoke. He didn't snap his fingers. He didn't blink his eye. He didn't do a dance. He spoke creation into existence. Similarly, your prayers act as commands, bringing order to your life and the universe around you and within you. I think some of you guys who are, who are swift on the uptake are starting to see where I'm coming from. All right. If you appreciate this, hit the #1 button. Now, again, prayer, mediation are similar in that they both assist you in tapping into that which is greater than yourself, but still different. I submit that prayer is speaking to God. Mediation is learning to listen and to hear what the God in you. God, through prayer, opens eyes, changes hearts, heals wounds, grants wisdom. Look at James 1:15. The power of prayer should never be underestimated because it draws on the glory and the might and power of God of the universe. Look at Daniel 4:3-5, which proclaims all the peoples of the earth are regarded as nothing. Now, it's one thing just to pray, okay? It's another thing to do work. All right. The truth is that all prayers require action. When we pray, we are saying, God, that we need you. That's basically what you're saying. God, I need you for something, right? We've all had that time. God, if you just do this one more time, if you just get me out of this job, give me a new job, I promise I'll never do it again. Or get me out of this jam, I'll never do it again. We get that, right? So you're praying to God. So when we pray, we not only demonstrate our need for God, but also our faith in God. Man, according to the Bible, is made in the image and likeness of God. It is possible for man to become like God, to become deified, to become God by grace. And I'm not saying you're going to be the almighty, but you can be the God of your universe, of all that you know and all that you oversee. The starting place, look at 10:13, where Jesus claims, I and the Father are one or equal. The crowds correctly interpreted this to mean that Jesus in some ways claims equality with the God. Not that he was equal to God, but that he could do some things on his level as God could. He claimed, his claim leads them to judgment, blasphemy, because you being a man make yourself God. They misunderstood. And of course, you know, we understand that the rabbis wanted to purposely misunderstand, and because they needed a reason to get rid of Jesus because he was threatening their power. But either way, that's another story. The fact that it was possible for men so to repent, to represent God as to be called gods or divine was a foreshadowing incarnation. Jesus alludes directly to Psalms 82, where the Elohim gods received the word of God in the form of judgment and condemnation. Stated concisely, God created us in his image. We are all gods. We can then bring forth miracles as our creator has by mimicking his actions, i.e. his work. Now, what is the importance of rest? I hear a lot of stupid people saying stuff like hustlers don't sleep, hustlers work 24/7. That's just a foolish notion. All right, you have to learn to designate tasks and to ask others to help you, your employees. You know, bosses get work done by doing that, not by working yourself to the point of exhaustion. That is not something that's sustainable. And like prayer, meditation, it will trigger your body to respond in a form, and you will get sick or you will have mental issues. Okay, so even God rested. And why did God rest on the seventh day of creation? Obviously, creating all that he did, it was hard work, and the work was complete. So much so that God needed to rest. So God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it, God rested from all his work that he had done in creation. All God's works were completed on the sixth day, and there was no more need to go to work on the seventh day. Now, the thing is, we use Sunday as the day of rest, right? We typically say that Sunday is the day that we rest because we say that that's God's rest day. But I want to explain something to you. According to the book of Exodus, the Sabbath is the day of rest on the seventh day, or the Sabbath is the day of rest, and that's the seventh day. And God commanded that that holy day of rest be kept. That's the same day that God rested. The practice of observing the Sabbath or the Shabbat originates in the biblical commandment, remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Saturday, based on Hebrew tradition, is the seventh day of the week. So we should technically observe the seventh day of the week, Saturday, from evening to evening, as the Sabbath of the Lord our God, right? Now, how is that calculated, right? Well, evening is sunset, when the day ends and another begins. No other day has ever been sanctified as that day of rest. The Sabbath day begins sundown. Okay, think about it. The Sabbath day begins sundown at Friday and ends sundown on Saturday. Now, for the intelligent among you, you may be able to figure out and understood that this is why Jesus died on a Friday and then rose on a Sunday, and that's calculated as 3 days. In other words, Friday began on Thursday evening and then ended on Friday evening, and Saturday evening started right after that on Friday evening, as opposed to Friday at 12 o'clock midnight. It started Friday evening. So just imagine if it gets dark at 6 o'clock on a Friday, that's your 12 o'clock. That's when the day starts. So technically, that's what it is. But see, the thing is, those are some of the components. Now, what I want to do, family, is I want to go ahead and read some articles to you, because I want you guys to understand exactly where I'm coming. If you appreciate what I'm doing, if you like where I'm going, if you like this is challenging to you, this is opening something up to you, then make sure you contribute to the Super Chat, the Cash App, and PayPal. But basically what I'm saying, family, is, and I started off by talking to you all. This is an article from SciTech Daily, The Human Genome 2020, How Biology Most Hyped Breakthrough Led to the Anticlimax and Arrest. All right, so Here's the thing. This article says when Bill Clinton took the White House lecturing 20 years ago to announce that the human genome sequence had been completed, he hailed the breakthrough as the most important, most wondrous map ever produced by humankind. The scientific achievement was placed on par with moon landings. It was hoped that having access to the sequence would transform our understanding of human disease within 20 years. Well, it's been 20 years and we still ain't got there yet, leading to the better treatment, detection, prevention. The famous journal article that shared our genetic ingredients with the world, published in February 2001, was welcomed as a book of life. That could revolutionize medicine by showing which of our genes led to which illness. Here's the thing. Before maybe 1990, 2000, somewhere, we really didn't have an understanding of genes. It wasn't until we got to the supercomputers that we were able to literally keep up with billions of bits of data, and we're able to then map the human genome. And we thought, oh, we got it now. Now we can know who's sick, why they get sick, we can compare and contrast. And so what Bill Clinton was talking about was like, we finally got it. But turns out that about 98% of the human genome is what we consider junk. And so we don't actually know what it did. We thought it didn't produce any proteins. Here's what happens. When your body needs something, your hormones will send signals to different cells. Those hormonal proteins will then permeate the cell wall, which is permeable. It'll be able to go through the cell wall, and then it'll make its way into your mitochondria, and they'll begin to do what? They'll begin to make DNA. They'll begin to they'll begin to create proteins, and they will begin to emit things. So the cells will begin to do things. So let's say, for instance, you're 12 years old and you're about to hit puberty. There is something that will trigger your secondary male characteristics, so you'll start growing hair. So the arm, the cells underneath your arm, the hair follicles, will begin to emit certain hormones, and those hormones will then convert that tissue into full-grown cells that create hair, and that's how you get hair under your arms. All right. When you get sick, there's some things in your body which will create there's triggers that happen in your body to create certain hormones, and then you'll get better. And so what I'm telling you is it's all internal. That other statement where it says you can control your environment, which is what they found out with the experiment with the rats. Some of this is because of junk DNA, and they don't understand that. They don't understand how that works. So I'm going to keep, and so my argument is going to be that you can control yourself and you can control your environment, just like Jesus said, "Ye are all gods." You speak into it, you pray on it, and then you move towards it. But see, some people can get so deep into their prayers, and so we've heard of miracles happening to people. We've heard miracles, so there has to be an explanation for it. But let's continue to read. But in the 2 decades since the sequence was overwhelmed, the potential of our newfound genetic self knowledge has not been fulfilled. Instead, what has emerged is a new frontier of genetic research, new questions for a new batch of researchers to answer. Today, the gaps between our genes and the switches that direct genetic activity are emerging as powerful determinants behind how we look and how we get ill, perhaps deciding 90% of what makes us different from another. Understanding this genetic dark matter, that's the junk DNA that I talked about earlier, using the knowledge provided by the human genome sequence will help us to push further into our species' genetic secrets. All right, cracking the human genetic code took 13 years and $2.7 billion, and hundreds of scientists peering through over 3 billion pairs in our DNA. Once mapped, our genetic data help project help for projects like the cancer dependency map and the genome-wide association studies better understand the diseases that afflict humans. But some results were disappointing. Back in 2000, it was becoming clear that the genome sequence was imminent. The genomics community began excitedly placing bets predicting how many genes a human genome could contain. Some bets were as high as 300,000, others was as low as 40,000. For the context, the onion genome is 60,000. Dispiritingly, it turned out that our genome contains roughly the same number of genomes, same number of genes as a mouse or fruit fly, around 2,100. The three times less than an onion. Few would argue that humans are 3 times less complex than an onion. Instead, this discovery suggested that the number of genes in our genome had little to do with our complexity and our difference from other species, as has been previously presumed. All right, presumed. Great responsibility. Access to the genome sequence also presented science community with a huge number of important ethical questions, underscored in 2000 by Prime Minister Tony Blair when he cautioned with the power of the discovery comes a responsibility to use it wisely. Ethicists were particularly concerned about the questions of genetic discrimination, like whether or not genes could be used against us as evidence in a court of law, or as basis for exclusion, a new kind of twisted hierarchy between our biology. All right, some of these concerns were addressed by legislation, genetic discrimination. Designer babies is something they're concerned about. They don't want people using the CRISPR and those sort of things to create kids who are like 6'6", with blue eyes, blonde hair, whatever, you know how it is. In 2018, human embryos were gene edited by Chinese scientists using a method called CRISPR, which allows targeting sections of DNA to be snipped off and replaced with others. So in other words, you have a propensity to be short and fat. What do? They cut that off and they make you tall and lean and physically fit, never stressed out, whatever. They can do that. Scientists involved were subsequently jailed, suggesting that there remains little appetite for human genetic experimentation. On the other hand, deny available genetic treatments to willing patients may one day be considered unethical, just as some countries have chosen to legalize euthanasia. That's when you kill somebody who's sick on ethical grounds. Questions remain how humanity would handle genetic data. All right, so we'll go down here. Enhanced capabilities within the non-coding part. Right, this is that dark matter in your DNA, that 98%. Researchers have subsequently found short regions of DNA called enhancers, right? Gene switches that turn genes on and off in different tissues at different times. They found that enhancers needed to shape the embryo have changed very little during evolution, suggesting that they represent major important source genetic information. So what does that mean? That means that you have capabilities in your DNA that remains dormant. That means that you have the power to force yourself to eat less, drink less, lose weight, reduce anxiety, and all sorts of stuff. Whatever your body is capable of doing is locked away in those DNA switches. So the question now is, how do we get to them? How do we force that to happen? How do we teach our body that this is what I want you to do, right? So let's look at something first, and I want to kind of lay this foundation. As I look at Psalms 8:2, it says that, and we're looking at the King James version. I have said, ye are all gods. You're all gods, and all of you are the children of the Most High. What does that mean? What does that mean? That means that what we know we are not the Most High God, but we know we are like our God. We are like our Father. We have that same capability. But the question is, how do we unlock that capability? And I believe that it's there. I don't believe we're pulling stuff out of the air. I believe because remember, all of the miracles performed in the Bible were performed by people. And so those miracles are locked away inside of you. And so the question now is, how do we unlock those miracles? And I go back to what I originally said: prayer, followed by hard work and rest. So let's continue reading. In addition to that, I want to read the passage. Jesus answered, "It is not written in your law, I have said you are gods." Jesus told us that we were gods. Faith. Now the thing is, that's one thing. You got it. Okay, you're all gods. I get that. All right. You have faith that you can make things change. You got faith that you can do things and make it move forward. So how do you bring that forth? Well, let's look at King James 2:14 and 26. Because see, we all know people who pray and then they don't do anything with the prayer. What does it profit, my brother, if someone says he has faith but not have works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister is naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you says to them, "Depart in peace, be warmed and filled," but you do not give them the things which are needed for the body, what does it profit? Thus also faith by itself, if it does not have the works, is dead. But someone will say, "You have faith and I have works. Show me your faith without your works, and I will show you my faith by my works. You believe that there is one God. You do well. Even the demons believe and tremble. But do you want to know, O foolish man, that faith without works is dead?" So what is that basically saying? It's saying you can pray all you want, but you have to work on it. You have to work on it. So how do you unlock the miracles in your own life? How do you begin to make yourself be the best person you can be? How do you begin to do these godly things? If we take the story of Michael Jordan, how did he become such an amazing basketball player? Well, it's my understanding about his life was that even as a little boy, he would practice shooting baskets way into the night. And so what was that? He was, of course, working hard. He was, of course, over and over and over again, forcing his body to go beyond his whatever genetic limitations he had and to dig deep into that dark DNA, which separated him from everybody else. So I know this is a difficult subject for many of you to grasp. I understand that this is probably offensive to some of you because your pastors have never told you. But what I'm telling you is that all the miracles that you need for your life to be enhanced are within you already. All you need to do is bring them out. And that's going to come out with hard work. It's going to come out with dedication. It's going to come out with focused concentration. Some people say prayer, some people say meditation, but you ask for what you want. You speak it into the universe, you speak it out there, and then you work towards it. Now, again, a lot of us, we think we come into this philosophy, oh yeah, work, 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 and no sleep for a hustler. Even God slept. So if the Most High had to sleep, if the Most High had to rest, that means you have to rest too. And since that time, God has created, God in his infinite wisdom has continued creating miracles. So rest is fundamental. Prayer, hard work, and rest. Now, I'm going to go ahead because I'm sure there are some of you all who have questions. And I want you all to challenge me on this. I want to be challenged on this. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that, this is blasphemy and all that stuff. But the link is in the chat room. I want you guys to come in because, see, I don't believe in the spookiness, okay? I believe that you are all gods. I believe that you are the ones that you've been waiting for. Now, of course, I believe in the Most High. But what I'm saying is the source of we all came from. But what I'm telling you guys is that everything you're looking for is already inside of you. And what you have to do is begin to unlock that power that's within you. You have to, some people say, well, it's in your DNA already. And so how do you get it out of there? Well, you got to first ask for it. You got to speak it into existence. And then you got to work on it. That's what you have to do. Now, again, the link is in the chat room. Anybody who wants to come in and chop it up with me, go ahead. Let's do that. Please contribute to the super chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. You know, come on in. Let's talk about it. But the thing is, you know, we always say, the power of prayer, the power of prayer. You can literally, there are monks in Tibet and other places that can literally raise the temperature of their bodies because they've been practicing over years. They've meditated. So it's no different than someone who can learn to play basketball and shoot hoops because they've practiced over and over and over again. You're not going to just get better at something by praying on it and then going to take a nap, unless what you're trying to do is learn how to sleep better or sleep more deeply. So what I'm asking you guys to do is let's begin to consider, and if you like what I'm doing, hit the thumbs up button, hit the number 1 button. This is a good way to spend your Sunday afternoon. Make sure you acknowledge that by hitting the thumbs up button if you appreciate it. Go ahead and then also hit the number 1 button. So hit the thumbs up button, number 1 button, contribute to the super chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. Essential entities. What are your thoughts on this subject,
man? Peace and blessings, brothers.
Peace, bro.
I think this is good, man. You're taking an approach to the Bible. I did hear that verse from John when brothers be speaking about, well, this is what Jesus said. And I was like, wow, Jesus said that. You know, I did hear that verse before in a certain school of thought that I was associated with. And you're right, man. Sometimes our pastors and stuff like that don't really give us the good stuff to look inward to do some correction. And I think that, you know, what you're doing is phenomenal. It's great. It's giving a different perspective so we can take the word of God and the word of Jesus, the Son of God, and internalize it instead of externalizing it. So
I'm gonna ask you 2 questions. Why is it that you think the pastor would not want you to begin to look inwards for God's gifts?
I think that I think it'd be fair to say with the whole prosperity preaching and stuff like that is hyper monetized, right? That the religious certain religious sectors has been hyper dealing with all this materialism, hyper materialism and things like that. So it's not more, it is the word of God, but it's like they're making it profitable and I guess entertaining, and it's starting to lose its real origin or footing of purpose.
Well, let me kind of lay it out there for you. If you begin to look inside for the miracles of God as opposed to towards the pastor or outside, then that eliminates him and his job. What need do you have for him anymore?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that, I mean, I hate to say it, but I believe there's a monetary incentive for the church and for the Catholic Church, Baptist Church, to keep you coming to that church and looking towards them for your miracles, when in actuality, the Bible says what? Jesus answered, "It is not written in your law, I have said you are all gods." And that's John 10:13. So we have to take that seriously, because you consider yourself a Christian, Muslim, or any one of these Abrahamic religions, then that means that that's something you should take seriously. In Psalms 8:2, I said, "You are all gods, you are all sons of the Most High." What does that mean? That means that what? That means that we are not God, but we are like God. So we have that sort of power. And so where does that power come from, and how do we untap those miracles? How do we untap them? Because we call God's good work, we call them miracles. So how do we untap those in our life? How do you, essential entities, and I'm not speaking to you personally, but how do you break that alcohol habit? How do you lose weight? How do you, I don't know, how do you become, how do you learn to run fast? How do you learn to shoot your jump shot better? What do? We practice, right? We abstain. Just go ahead. But we call it into existence, but then what?
Yeah, we got to work. You know, I'm a big believer of hard work, and I believe that, you know, brothers.
And thank you. Thank you so much for the $25 super PayPal. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate your support. Go ahead, sir. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I think that focusing inward sometimes. All right, let's say like I started to learn now in our community. You always say, yo, we have this toxic culture, and it really touched me, man. I looked at that clip and what happened out there in Houston with that, and then stuff like that, and I was like, man, this toxic culture is true. But what I'm learning is that sometimes we overwhelmed with the toxicity of the environment sometimes, and sometimes it's overwhelming, and our brothers go through these psychological traumas and all this drama, and they start to self-medicate themselves with things like marijuana, weed, or whatever. And and I try to express them as a form of self-medication, but it's not going to make the problem go away. Now,
and since you brought up marijuana, because this is not something I've touched before, because I've had this issue come up on my Facebook page, and folks get very touchy when I start talking about marijuana use. They don't mind me demonizing the hard drugs, but when I start talking about marijuana, man, they get angry. But here's the thing. If you are taking an illegal substance, or not even illegal, even if it's legal, whatever, it might be legal in your state. If you're taking that and it changes what happens when the marijuana is released into your system, the chemicals get into the base of your brain, and what that does is it makes you feel some euphoric feeling. And so you're happy. It gives you this happy feeling. And so, that's where the getting high part comes from. But getting high when you're really low takes you out of the reality that you're existing in. And so if you high and you artificially happy, you don't need prayer. So you stop the starting point that would otherwise help you change by using that drug. So what I'm trying to suggest to you guys to do is that you don't want to do marijuana. I mean, I get it. I understand, and I don't want to make the marijuana smokers mad, because I know how rough you guys are about your sensimilia. Okay, but what I'm saying is that's not the proper way to get the miracle that you need. That's really just avoidance. That's giving you that A grade that you got in chemistry and making you feel that euphoric feeling. That's giving you that nice juicy steak that you bought from the store after working all week and that you earned without you having. It's a cheap way to get that euphoric feeling, which is actually impeding your growth. And I know that makes you marijuana folks mad. I'm sorry, but I wouldn't be your Uncle D if I didn't tell you. I'm not talking to you as a lawyer. I'm saying you're getting in the way of your own success. It's like putting training wheels on yourself. You're not really getting that real ride. Okay, so we'll revisit that another day. I don't want to make anybody mad, because I know how you guys. I don't want any more thumbs downs on this one. But John Guillory, thank you so much. And anybody else who wants to come in, the link is in the chat room. I'd love to hear from you guys. We lost Essential. Okay, Essential Entities is back. No, it's cool, man. What else were you saying, bro?
Yeah. No, I got a couple of phone calls coming in, so knocked me off. But I really appreciate what you're doing, man, creating this space, giving us a place to really handle things in a very intelligent way, have these intelligent conversations, and just instructing us to have respect. It helps me a great deal, because I see y'all gentlemen behaving in a ways like sometimes we just go from 0 to 100 when we start, and you say, no, the brother was disrespecting you when you keep things peaceful, and I like that.
Oh man, don't worry about that, man.
I
really wanted to show people how you can be respectful with someone who disagrees with you, even if they're calling me names. He sounds a court leader. I say, well, I'm an officer of the court. I'm not a court leader. I was just teasing, but no, let's not worry about that.
All right.
Let's see. No problem. John Gill, he said this is such a great topic, and then he's also said that the many times I've been in church, this is the first time anyone has ever explained the sunset on Thursday started the first day. Thanks, brother. And see, this is why it's important for us to have these unfiltered conversations, because think about it. Your pastor gets a brochure every month, every 2 months about what his sermon should be. That's why when you go to this pastor and that pastor and that pastor, they all are kind of, because they're all part of the Southern Baptist Coalition. So they all get a format. Your pastor's not making that stuff up or the topics. He's just basically sticking to the same routine that they always have been sticking. And they vote and decide which ones they're going to talk about. And so that's why they're not going to really, this is unnecessary for them. They just tell you have faith. Why? Largely, they don't know. Because even though your pastor went to school, he might have been a C student. So you learning the word of God from a C student or a D student, or somebody who barely made it, or somebody who maybe didn't even have a degree. And so you never actually get what you really need to get. You don't get the details that you want unless you begin to look. It's odd. Like, why would Jesus call us the sons of God? What does that mean? What do your pastors say? Just have faith, my son. That's a cop-out as opposed to explaining it. But because they don't really have a true understanding of what it means, because see, you can't just study these words from these folks 2,000 years ago and have no other. This is important. Even to be an assassin, you need to have an understanding of mathematics, geometry, physics, biology, history. So in order to be a pastor, in order to be able to speak to people, you got to understand biology, history, physics, psychology, sociology, anthropology, all these different things. And see, when it all comes together, as I said earlier on, when it all comes together, when you start mastering and you get to the level of mastery of any given subject, it all comes together at the top, just like a pyramid. All that knowledge, those little starting points you have at the bottom, once you get to the top, they all lead to one place. They all lead to that divine knowledge where it all comes together. And so you will eventually get there. So me bringing up genetics and saying, hey, you got 98.3% of your DNA, and there are triggers in that DNA, and they're triggered for some reason. Even modern science doesn't understand why, but they know they're triggered. And then we look in our Holy Bible and we see people praying and groups of people praying. And what happens? Miracles happen. And then we look and we see how these Buddhist monks and all these people, they can raise the temperature of their body. They can ignore pain through prayer and meditation and practice. What does that tell you, essential entities? And our Jesus told us that you are all like gods. You are gods. What, not God, the great divine intelligence, not that God, but you are like him. What does that tell you, essential entities?
Well, I think when we meditate and we operate on a peaceful vibration with our environment, we become one with our environment. We become connected to it. We feel it. They got, excellent movies that kind of like depicts this stuff. But sometimes I think that we live in such a low vibration type of environment. Sometimes we get distracted. We don't have control of our core, our root chakras. We are led by.
I don't get all that. I don't get you. I don't.
I know. I just want. This is my explanation, brother.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that's what happens. We are constantly being kind of like led in the direction to keep us on a lower vibration. That's what I mean.
Well, and my approach is going to be that because we have this DNA, because we have this 98% of DNA that we don't even understand what it does and what it triggers, I believe this is an untapped resource. I believe first you should call it into existence. What you want. I want to get rid of that drug habit. I want to get rid of this alcohol habit. I want to lose weight. This for you is a miracle. You have control over your body. I want to control I want to not lust over, because a lot of people lust, they got porn addictions. I want to not lust over porn. I want to not lust over women. For ladies who are listening, I want to not have to always run back to that man for that bad treatment. Why do you do that? Because you have not unlocked those miracles in your body. You have not asked for it enough. You have not prayed for it enough. You have not meditated on it. You have not then begun to work on it and train your mind, which will then train your body to deny yourself those things that are no good for you and seek those things that are good for you. You see, this is what I'm trying to say. And then you rest. After you've done that work and you rest, and then you repeat, just like the Most High does. Again, ye are all gods. So if you're gods like your father, do what your father did. Speak it into existence, work it, make it happen, and then rest, and then do it again. So that's kind of the gist of what I'm saying. Anybody else who wants to join in this conversation, come on in. My man, let me see here. Classy young man said, I work in the medical field. There was a patient that we were doing a lung transplant. We found that the marijuana crystallized the lungs. Okay, so I think what he's trying to say is this, classy young man, and you're welcome to come in. Basically, you have something called cilia inside of your lungs. And these are little fine hairs. And what the hairs do is it pulls, and we back on the marijuana. I get it. I know y'all don't want to talk about it, but brought it up. So the cilia in your lungs actually separate the air particles when you breathe in, and then the cilia pull the little air molecules and whatnot out of the lung cavity and bring it into the bloodstream. And so if the young man is saying that it crystallized his lungs, what that means is the marijuana he smoked basically cause for those little hairs to become stiff and strong, and they can no longer operate the way he would. And I'm assuming that's why he needed a lung transplant. Classy young man, is that an accurate explanation? My man Solomon Wise said, I'm smoking right now. Ah! I can't stand you weed smokers. I can't hate them. I just hate them, man. Oh my God. But anyway, boy, they are something else. But look, hey man, I'm just telling you, I want you to get high. I want you to consider what I'm saying. I want you to consider the fact that the Most High did what? The Most High spoke what he wanted into existence. He worked, and then he rested. And I think this is balance, essential entities. I mean, you're a hardworking man. You work all, you're a father, you got jobs, you got all. You're a hardworking man. What happens if you try to work, I don't know, 7 days straight with no sleep? What's going to happen to you?
Yeah, you develop fatigue. You need rest. You know that. But I did it before, and I had to do it, man. I did it before.
And it's something you can do, but it's not something to sustain, because what that's going to do is going to trigger other things in your DNA. You see, it's going to make you either get sick to slow you down, or pass out to slow you down. You see what I mean? So that you can preserve your life. See, that's what I'm saying. When you begin to put these pressures on yourself, and you begin to make yourself move and do things that you're uncomfortable, the results are going. Your DNA will kick in. It's locked away in you. It's like if you study. It's like if you study math over and over and over again. At some point, your brain, the DNA in your brain is going to begin to send hormones that we need to learn. We need to increase in size. We need to do this. This is something that's art. It's painful doing this. We got to make this job easier. So then what happens? You begin to learn math because your brain capacity increases. It's a simple explanation. It's an oversimplification of an explanation. But that's the same thing. You want to work on your jump shot over and over and over again. I keep doing it. I keep missing. I'm out here. Well, I got to learn how to do it better. So what? So that I don't have to do it as much. This is what your body is saying to itself. You see, you have to begin to practice, and rest, and practice, and rest. But what else you want to add to this essential entities?
Now, I think it's that, good advice. We need sometimes having a living example of a person who, practice these things and can show proof, living proof of these things is always it's always a good teaching point,
Yeah, well, you're one of those people too, man. You're one of those people. So I appreciate you. Let's see if we can get some other people. Any of you folks want to come in here and have this conversation? I don't want to go. I made the weed smokers mad, so I'm sure the Bible thumpers are gonna come in here and give me a piece of their mind too. But look, join the conversation. I want to hear what you all think about that, because all I'm doing, family, is trying to help you see the word of God for what it is written in the Holy Bible. There's power in that word. I know you guys got your cell phones and you're smarter than everybody else now. There are no secrets. We're getting to the point where, we're back to the Tower of Babylon, but there are no secrets and we all can communicate. So of course, these things are going to be revealed. I think that the miracles that you're looking for are not going to come from some outside person. Miracles you're looking for to change your life are going to come from within you. And I'm just trying to give you an explanation and a roadmap for how to get that done, how to make these changes in your life, how to bring these miracles forth. Prayer, hard work, and rest. That's all I'm saying. Please come in and join the conversation if you guys want to talk about it. Let's hear about some stories you guys have prayed on. You prayed, you've had faith, the things you've done, and you prayed. And maybe some you essential entities where there were situations where you prayed and then it happened, or you prayed and prayed. But see, here's the thing, bro. It's not just about you commanding the inside, right? Like you said, you believe when you meditate, what happens? We're all connected, right? If we're all connected, then you can begin to call things out to the universe like the Most High did, and things begin to shift and happen. You ever said, man, I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to, and end up in jail because you kept talking about it. You see what I'm saying? As opposed to saying, I want $1 million. I want $1 million. You say, I don't want to. You see what I'm saying? You see how you're calling it into your existence. You understand what I mean? I hope Paul, I hope she ain't pregnant. I hope she ain't pregnant. Damn, she pregnant.
Oh man.
Oh man. Well, we got somebody else who came in. Beasley for president. How you doing today, man?
Good. I'm good. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, man. We are talking about, basically we're talking about prayer, hard work, and rest. What are your thoughts? Go ahead, brother.
I agree wholeheartedly. Every time I've been faced with a difficult thing or was trying to accomplish something, I usually got within myself, to myself, and I added a couple of things.
Yeah.
First off, it starts and begins with the positive mental attitude and positive affirmations and feeding positive thoughts into your head, and the ability also to visualize yourself in the place that you're trying to get. That's very important. And then even writing down the exact details of where you're trying to get, not only and picturing it down to a detail. Not what car you're going to drive, but what color is the car going to be? How's the interior? How's this? And creating that picture in your mind. And your mind, see, I'm a firm believer in this adage that I learned many years ago, and that is what the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve.
Amen.
I'm going to say it again. What the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve, it's all in the mind. And if you can create this reality in your mind, it's only natural for your mind to create this reality in your real life, and it will happen. And it may not happen on your time frame. There's going to be some stumbling blocks sometimes if you get off course. But as long as this is your overall goal, you'll get there. And the reason why I know this because I've done this a number of times. The funny thing is, I say I've been to the mountaintop, but then somebody that knows me well is saying you've been back down the other side. Yeah, I have, and I've been back on top of the mountain again. So it's okay. You know what? The journey, and sounds like some bullshit, but
let's watch our language. But go ahead.
I'm
yes,
sorry.
Sir.
This sounds
okay.
sounds like some poppycock, some bullets. It sounds like something that wouldn't be real, but the journey, I'm far more sharper and effective during the journey than I am to when get to where I was trying to get. But that's all. But what the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. And I'd add two things to your list. Oh, first off, your positive thoughts and affirmation, and water.
And water. Okay, right. Water. I guess I would go with proper.
How many times have you been a little run down and you're not feeling out of whack and maybe even a headache? And 80% of headaches are caused by dehydration. Every time I have a headache, and I don't get too many of them, Every time I have a headache, I drink 3 of those little bottles of water, and it goes away in 10 minutes.
Mhm.
That's
And
all
you
I
know,
want to
I
say.
can I can
Go ahead.
ask. I want to add something to you, Beasley, for president. For those of you who all think, oh, I don't ever drink water. What you the body is majority water. And so what happens is you have cells okay, you got your atoms compose molecules cells make tissue make organs make organ systems make bodies. And the fundamental thing is what? Cells. That's where the the anatomic, I'm sorry, the that's the building block, the cell. That cell needs to be fully filled up, fully hydrated to operate 100%. So you can't get your body to work 100% if you're dehydrated because your cells on. It's like operating on 73% trying to do the 100% job. So yeah, Beasley's right. You need water, and that's even to do those other cell functions like create DNA and whatnot. But go ahead, Beasley. So I just wanted to
No,
add that on.
I share what I wanted to share.
Mhm.
We're on the same page.
Cool, man. So I
We're,
want to
we're,
read you guys some of my favorite verses from which I draw strength and belief that prayer is powerful. And this is kind of not just talking about the inner, but the outer. In Psalms 107, 28, and 30, then they cried to the Lord in their trouble, and he delivered them from their distress. He made the storm be still, and the waves of the sea were hushed. Then they were glad that the waters were quiet, and he brought them to their desired haven. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock it, and it will be open to you. What if we found out in 10,000 years that the human being has the power to control the environment through his own connection to that environment? Essential entities kind of brought that up a little bit. You know, meditation or whatnot. You kind of mentioned. What if we find that out? And the only reason is we weren't using the correct part. Let's say not even 10,000 years. Let's say it happens in 100 years, because now we've learned to master that part of our DNA, that dark part of our DNA that is a direct connection that sends a radio signal to the environment. What would you think then, essential entities? It would make you have to look at this Bible again, wouldn't
Yes, sir. I don't know if y'all gentlemen is familiar with Dr. Claude Anderson. He says some interesting thing. He's like a forensic historian, and one of the things that always captures me when he speaks is that he's like, "Hey guys, not for nothing, but there's specialness in your blackness, specialness."
it?
So
Mm-hmm.
I did some research about melanin and how the sunlight enhances the pigment and all that. I did a little small research on it. I read a book by Dr. Richard King, Melanin, the Key of
Mm-hmm.
Freedom. And when you read the sciences, what you're saying is right on part. It's just
Yeah.
I think that in my personal, research that I think that we fell from our grace. We don't have the ability, or we don't know how to tap into that stored energy that we receive probably from the sunlight. You
Mm-hmm.
got types of things in the ocean that I, learned about, bioluminescence and
Ah, yeah.
so when you study, I like this. That's why I like listening to your channel, because you cover a great base, a wide base of things. It's not just one
Mm-hmm.
thing. It covers. It's a very vast
Well, they
conversation.
love talking about Quavo. I mean, you see, I got 8,000 views when I talked about Quavo, and so I have to go back to. I don't. That's not necessary. I don't even know who Quavo really is.
Yeah.
You know,
Credited him, but I have to analyze it in a way, at least try to make it productive. But
I
Right.
commented on your video about that.
Yeah.
I thought that Sweetie in particular got a raw deal because
mm,
she's not of that ilk, man. She's a,
mm,
she's someone that wanted to be a rapper who's a scholar. And
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
She's a USC grad, and I think her granddaddy played for the
Come on, man.
NFL. But either way, that I get it. But what I was
Right.
saying was, folks like talking about that, but I'll talk about that for a little while, but I want to try to help people build. You know, I want to kind of bring people's level of discussion up, because I think it's high time that, and see, it happens if we are able to talk uninterrupted, you know, especially as black men, we can speak to each other. See, when there's no women in the room, black men talk to each other differently than when there are women in the room. There are studies that show that the reason that black boys succeed in all male institutions is because they don't have that competitive fire that pops up when girls are in the room. So we can build a lot here in channels like this, man. So, but anyway, we got another person in here, Fish Stick.
I'm gonna step down. You got a good topic, giving people the.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your input. You all, please contribute to the Super Chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal. We got 100-some people in here. Go ahead and hit the like button. And if you want to join the channel, go ahead and join the channel. It's just join, become a member. Sometimes, well, most of in the evenings, I turn the chat off, and I'm only talking to my members and my wrench mob guys. So make sure you join the channel. You're gonna get left out. You're gonna be feeling bad. But either way, Fish Sticks, how are you today?
Good. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you fine. Welcome to the conversation.
Good.
We were talking about prayer, hard work, and rest, and then we end up talking about weed and Quavo and Sweetie. But I want to go back to prayer, hard work, and rest. What are your thoughts on that?
I just wanted the other gentleman to elaborate. He was talking about water and how that correlates, because I do I fast for most of the day.
Yeah.
So the correlation between fasting and kind of spirituality type of thing. Have you heard anything about that? Or
I have not. What are your thoughts on that? Tell us.
I heard fasting, it kind of, I don't know the best way to explain it, but it kind of puts you in a space, teaches you discipline, and then you kind of feel some type of I don't know, spirituality, I guess.
Describe your fasting process for us, because some may not understand what you mean.
So I water fast. I don't know, at the most about 16 to 18 hours a day. For me, it just clears my mind. I guess it helps me, you know, it helps me focus. I'll say that. It helps me focus and clears my mind. So, I just want to know if the other gentleman, has he heard anything? He's seen a new.
Yeah, he left a little early here. But here's the thing. What I've noticed about fasting, and I've gone, I believe my longest time was 7 days without eating. Just not eating. I drank water. And what I noticed is that first day is hard. And then the second day, third day, fourth day gets easier. But you become very, what's the word I'm looking for? Your priorities become clear. You know, you after about that fifth or sixth day, you are a no nonsense individual. Have you noticed that?
Right. Yeah. Focused. Yeah. That's what I said. Focused. Yeah. You become a lot more focused. And like I said, I haven't done it like a week straight or anything like that, but I do it every day. Like I won't eat until, until later on.
Right. Well, I want to ask you a question now. Why is it that you think you and I both, two different people who've never spoken before, have that same mentality after about 5 or 6 days?
I guess it's a spiritual thing.
Or maybe it's your DNA and my DNA saying, you know what, we need to get focused on getting us some food. So I'm not worried about what my girlfriend is complaining about. I'm not even worried about that bill that's not due to 2 weeks from now. I'm worried about what's right in front of me so I can get. In other words, fasting causes a genetic response. It causes a hormonal response that leads to the production of certain proteins in your body that then what causes your brain to refocus. You know what I mean? So imagine if you can have that same focus all the time. Imagine now why people fast, and they say it helps them enhance their life, because it teaches them how to focus. See, the more you do something, The more you focus your brain, the more you focus your mind to focus 100% on stuff and hell with the stuff that's unnecessary, the more you become like that. So you see why fasting is important?
Yes, sir.
And it's crazy. I'm excited, you know, because like this is to me, like it's like, ooh, you know, and I apologize, and I may be talking over myself. So I'm gonna say it again. Basically, fasting is something that's teaching you how to focus, and focus leads to learning and education, and focus is key to everything. Discipline, education,
productivity, all that stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
So
sir.
that's why focusing. I mean, that's why fasting, meditation, all these things teach you that, because and I'm telling you, we call it spiritual because that's what the Bible refers it to. Because our ancestors, and I'm gonna make some people mad here, our ancestors didn't have a word for deoxyribonucleic acid, and they didn't understand the process by which you were able to, you know, respond to the environment and the stimulus. So they call it spiritual. God is, you see what I mean?
Yes,
So
sir.
it's still the word of God. It's just they're using different terminology. See, I don't believe, I believe that our people 2,000 years ago were writing about their experiences and what they understood as of God, what their understanding of God. Now, with an advance in science, we have to explain our understanding of God based on what we have. Because see, a lot of people are still stuck in the rhetoric and this stuff. We don't use camels and horses and stuff anymore. You know, just like we have running water, things are different. We understand different. Let's not say the Bible is outdated. Let's just say we need to finally catch up. That was their way. That was Stone Age man's way of explaining the phenomenon, either in themselves or in the environment that they couldn't understand. You see what I'm saying? So now you understand, what does fasting do? Fasting causes a reaction in your body, which causes hormones to be released, which causes your body, cause your brain to focus. And the more you focus, guess what? The more learning you do, the sharper you are, the better you become at whatever it is you're doing. You understand what I'm saying, Fish Sticks?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, I do.
Think about it like that. It's not necessarily spiritual. It's more it's biological, in my opinion. And that's just my thought. And anybody who wants to come in and challenge me on it, feel free. I love to learn in that fashion. But anyway, Afro Patriarch is in here. What's up, man? How you doing, brother? How you doing?
I'm good, brother. I was trying to pull up my share screen, but my laptop is acting up. I was reading an article about fasting. I pulled it up. I had an old article that I had that I stored away. Let's probably pull it up. It says that our fasting increases focus and it lowers depression and anxiety.
Why is that?
That is something I want to do the research on. I'm still looking into it.
But see, here's the thing, and that's what I want you guys to get. There's a biological reason why it does what, increases what, and what, and what.
It increases focus, lowers anxiety and depression.
Because anxiety and depression are unimportant when you're hungry. You know what I'm saying? Think about it. If you ever get depressed, just stop eating. Just stop eating for a little while. Go about, I'm so sad. My gal left me. Go ahead and fast for about a week and see if you even care about her. You won't even want sex after 6 or 7 days.
I'm actually thinking about starting fasting tomorrow because of the discussion, but I'm afraid of not taking my diabetic medication.
Yeah,
so
you
that's
want
my
to
only
consult
concern.
with your doctor, Afro. You talk to your doctor, but I promise you, fasting will help you get your priorities straight really quick. You feel depressed, you angry with somebody, your mama done made you mad, your sister, your baby mama, your homeboy. You go ahead and not eat for 7 days. Drink some water for 7 days. And don't tell anybody about it. This is the other thing. Keep it all, suffer in silence. Keep it all to yourself. You'll have a whole different I've tried that before. And you will find things that you thought mattered that were a big deal, they don't matter anymore. So that's a good way. That's why it ends that depression and anxiety, because you're hungry and your body like, I don't care why we mad. Okay, can we get some chicken? How about some fried? I even take some of that boiled chicken right about now. But go ahead, Afro Patriot. What else you got to say? But hold on. And look, guys, I know we having a fun conversation here today. It's me, Central Entities, Fish Sticks, and Afro Patriarch, and then of course, brother for president was here. But contribute to the super chat, the Cash App, and the PayPal, and hit the thumbs up button. All right, we got 80-some people in the chat room. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button, contribute to the super chat, keep it going. I don't want to run into commercials. I want to keep this conversation going till it's over. So if you appreciate what I'm doing, if this is helpful, you do hit the #1 button. What else have you learned about fasting, Afro Patriarch? And then we're gonna go to Essential Entities.
Also learned that besides focus, just a lot of clarity. I had a friend of mine told me that when he fasted, a lot of clarity came to him about his family, friends, and things like that.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of positive things about fasting. My only concern because I'm diabetic, but outside of that, I've been looking forward to doing that. I'm probably going to talk to my doctor this week and I'm going to call her up tomorrow and tell her I want to fast and see what can be done about that to allow me to do that. Because I find it fascinating.
And I'm going to give you guys another suggestion on clearing your mind and preparing yourself. Drink a gallon of water before you go to sleep. Basically hydrate yourself, wake up. You are so clear early in the morning. Like
I agree.
Do it for three or 4 days. Yeah, your body is fully refreshed. You're hydrated. Don't eat after 6 o'clock. Drink a gallon of water. Wake up the next morning. You will do that for 3 or 4 days straight. You will be so clear. Your mind will be so. And then couple that with the fact, and yeah, Phoenix Rising says, right, 1 meal a day. The members of the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, taught his followers to eat 1 meal a day. Now, oddly enough, if you look at Message to the Black Man, it says that this man said that 60 years ago, and now scientists are saying, yeah, you know what, you really only need to eat 1 meal a day. Now, before they used to tell you eat 3 meals a day. Why? Because there was an industry push behind that. They wanted you to eat eggs and milk and meat and bacon because they wanted to keep those industries going. So they wanted you to consume as much but really you only need to eat once a day. If you look at a lot of grown-ups, if you look at a lot of grown animals in the wild, some of them only eat once every 3 or 4 days, once every 6 or 7 days. Look at lions and other large carnivores like that. They don't eat every day. And so it's only you, but we've been lied to a lot of time. But go ahead, Afro Patriarch.
I want to know, does it increase? I was trying to just look up something to see if it increases testosterone. Because I know that I've been feeling kind of low. And a friend of mine told me it could be that I'm 38. Testosterone depletion becomes a real thing.
See, the thing is, man, they'll tell you that, but I was at my strongest at 38. You know, that was when I was able to bench like 465 pounds easy. Like it was no problem. You know what I'm saying? So it's not that. It's something else. But overall health is something that you want to think about. But again, you know, it's we can talk about this, but again, prayer, work. Basically, and if you want to say speak it into existence and work at it and then rest, speak into existence what you want, work at it and then rest. You see what I mean? I want to lose 200 pounds. I want to lose 100 pounds. Speak it into existence, meditate on it. Like brother said, write down how you plan on doing it, write down to the T, and then move forward to. That's how you perform a miracle in your life. Remember, the Bible says ye are all gods. Jesus said that you have the power to control your inside, and we talked about that already with the DNA, because it's your body that tells your body to retain fat. You see what I mean? And you have control. You have to believe you have total control of your body, and that's where the meditation and those other things come in. But you also have to train your body, through hard work. And so just think about that, man. You can even change what you crave. They just showed us that those rats, when they took those particular sections out of that dark DNA, the rats stopped craving certain alcohol and certain foods. So it's your DNA that's telling you create. It's your DNA creating hormones that are getting into your brain and your palate, telling you desire those things. So what happens if you stop desiring the things that you know are making you fat? Maybe you eat, I don't know, whatever, a lot of bread. You stop desiring that. You just like, you ain't gonna
Right.
go outside and pick up a concrete rock and want to bite it, because like, hell no, that's nasty. You're gonna see that. You're going to see that fatty food the same way you see that. You see what I'm saying, man?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just want to add, fasting can help with lower blood pressure, reduce cholesterol, control diabetes, and reduce weight.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks, Afro Patriot. I appreciate that. Essential entities. What else you got to say on this thing, man?
Yes, sir. Nah, it's a good build, man. I've been eating 1 meal a day for many years.
Cool,
You know?
cool, man.
Yeah, I've been doing that. I mean, one salad meal, and then of course you have like little snacks and stuff like that, fruit and all of that.
Okay,
You
cool.
only have
We
one, but yeah, it works, man. It keeps you trim, keeps you in shape, keep you looking young too.
It does, right? Yeah. We went from talking about prayer and genetics to hard work, and now we and rest, and then we end up talking about weed, Quavo, and mostly weed, all the weed people. I got something for you weed people. I'll tighten y'all up. So, but in the meantime, man, just you guys, I appreciate the contributions. Thank you, everybody. I want to make sure I reemphasize that, the Bible is there for you to read. It's good words in there. It's powerful. Let's not throw out the Bible, as Dr. John Henry Clark says. He is one of our great African spiritual leaders, historians, and he believed in the powerful of what's being taught in the Holy Bible. It's our book, but fundamental is prayer. What did God do? He spoke the universe into existence. He worked, and then he rested. And that's a pattern that we all can follow. And if you work at something, you begin to train your body. You begin to train your DNA. You begin to get responses and reactions from your body. These are the miracles. You want to lose weight. You want to kick that drug habit. You want to kick that alcohol habit. You want to stop having feelings for that girl. You want to stop having those hard feelings for people that were mean to you. When you're a child, focus. Do things like fasting, and it'll help you bring the priorities in play. Because see, there's no need to look behind you because you're not going there. Look forward. And so by fasting, it helps you do what? Helps you put things in perspective. By praying, by meditating, by working hard. These are things that you need to do to go ahead and have those miracles that you want perform in your life occur. And those miracles are going to come from you. What does the Bible say? What does Jesus say? Ye are all gods, or ye are like unto your Father. And so because of that, you have the power to change your existence. And that's all this message is. A very simple message. And for those of you, I hope I've helped bring some of you back. I hope if you take a new look at your Holy Bible and say, well, maybe they didn't understand what genetics were, but they understood that prayer and fasting, hard work, and resting was important. And so that's pretty much it. But either way, man, God bless you all. Thank you, Essential Entities, Fish Sticks, Afro Patriarch, and my man, brother for president. This is Uncle D. And as I always say at this time, I'm out.